Hey, welcome back to the Post Sunday podcast. If you were with us this past Sunday, man, you already know this one was heavy in the best way. And we're not here to repreach the sermon, we're here just to kind of sit with it. Speaking of being here, I've got Pastor Kim here and Pastor Stevie here. And honestly, we're just going to talk like a family processing what God did in the room.
And I just want to say up front, if you're listening and you're still carrying the weight of Sunday, you're not alone. You're not doing it wrong. Some messages aren't meant to just be wrapped up neatly.
And I'm really glad we're doing this because Sunday was vulnerable. Vulnerability doesn't end when the service ends.
Yeah, that's so good. The foundation of Sunday was from Colossians 3:12 through 13. And that reads like this: Put on then as God's chosen ones, bearing with one another, forgiving each other, as the Lord has forgiven you. Here it is. So you also must forgive. And that word must, that's the word we don't like.
Yeah, because it doesn't leave any wiggle room.
Mm.
It doesn't say when you're ready or when it feels safe or when they deserve it.
Yeah, that's right.
One of the biggest questions I wrestled with, and honestly still do, is do I even get a choice?
Oof.
Because these are things that happen to us that are not small offenses. They're not cute little misunderstandings. They're not, an awkward conversation. They're violations. They're trauma. They're losses. And for a long time, I confused forgiveness with my permission.
Oof. That's such an important distinction.
Yeah, and I realized that when I stopped forgiving, it wasn't neutral. It didn't just stay in that one place. It spread. It shaped how I loved, how I pastored, how I trusted, how I withdrew.
And I think people don't notice that drift until much later.
Yeah, I think one of the bravest moments from Sunday was when you tied forgiveness to confession. You did that with James 5:16. Not confession as punishment, but confession as healing.
Because I didn't just need to forgive. I needed to admit who I had become while refusing to forgive.
Mm.
And that was humbling. Pain explains behavior, but it doesn't excuse it.
Yeah, painful truth.
Right.
Growth not only in an adult, but growth as a Christian.
Yeah, that's right. Spiritual growth. Well, Augustine once wrote that the confession of evil works is the first beginning of good works. Not because God doesn't know, but because we finally stop hiding the thing.
Yeah. Let's talk about that Walmart moment, because that was such a God interruption.
I hated that question.
I guess
What? Have you forgiven him yet?
No.
It felt too soon, too early, way too premature, almost cruel, mean, but I also knew it wasn't random.
Bonhoeffer talks about how grace becomes cheap when it cost us nothing. That moment when I heard you describe that was absolutely costly.
Exactly. I wasn't ready, but I was being invited. And I saw that opportunity and I said no. It's great. I need people to hear this, though, that no didn't make me evil, but it did begin a chain reaction.
So good. I also want to underline something that you said on Sunday, because people miss this all the time. So good. Forgiveness does not require reconciliation.
Right.
It doesn't require trust. Forgiveness doesn't require restored access. So good. You said that well. And finally, forgiveness does not require minimizing harm.
Exactly. Forgiveness is not saying what you did was okay. It's saying I'm not going to let what you did keep poisoning me.
N.T. Wright says, forgiveness is handing over the right to retaliate to God, not pretending justice doesn't matter, but trusting that God holds it better than we do.
Yeah,
That's good.
So one of the most powerful lines from Sunday, It was so much good that was said, but I think one of the most powerful lines was this: forgiveness doesn't heal us, faith does. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, because forgiveness often exposes pain. It doesn't erase it. It doesn't magically become better. Healing comes when we trust God with what forgiveness uncovers.
And that's why Luke 23:34 matters so much. Jesus didn't forgive from a healed place. He forgave from a wounded place.
And he kept his scars, which tells us something. Healing doesn't mean erasing the story. It's not like suddenly nothing ever happened.
Right.
It means redeeming the story.
Right.
The hardest forgiveness for me hasn't been others. It has been myself, though, and I think a lot of us Christians get stuck there.
Yeah. Because self-forgiveness feels like letting ourselves off the hook.
But it's actually just agreeing with God instead of continuing to punish ourselves.
I guess the question I asked on Sunday, the one that was once asked of me, still stands. Not accusatory and definitely not rushed. Just honest. Where are you with forgiveness?
So if you're listening and this stirred something raw, don't rush it, but also don't ignore it either.
You weren't meant to carry this alone.
And forgiveness doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're making room for God to finish what He already started.
Yeah. Well said. I want to thank you, Pastor Stevie, for joining us. I like this. We should do this more often. It means you're going to have to preach more often.
Okay.
But we want to thank you guys for listening to the Post Sunday podcast.